Welcome back to Market It with Atma, where we share the tips, tools, and strategies to help your business be successful. Today we have on the show owners of Social Bee Events, Jessica and Deanna. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So can you guys tell us, your co-owners, so each of you own a portion of the business. How did you guys envision this company? Did you envision it? Did you stumble upon it? Can you tell us a little bit about how it all started?
So it started out me by myself, just doing grazing tables and catering, different things. I did catering management before that and decided to strike out on my own and kind of quickly realized that it's a lot to take on myself. And so me and Deanna have been friends since 7th grade. And I asked her, to come and help me with some stuff, and then eventually coerced her into continuing to do it with me every day.
So how long ago was that?
That was in 2019, and in 2020 was whenever we came together.
Wow. So you're not only an event planner, you're also a chef. Is that correct, Jessica?
Yes. So I've been in the restaurant industry for years, doing different events for different companies, and just kind of found a love in that.
Yeah. So can you guys tell us a little more about what exactly y'all do? What's your clientele, and what separates you from other event coordinators or event planners?
So I think definitely our clientele, which took us a while to figure out exactly who that was, is people that are generally too busy or have a lot of other things going on, but they want to plan a successful event that makes it memorable for their guests. So we have a strong emphasis on our clients being happy with their guests being happy, right, and making sure that the guest experience is there for sure. So most of our clients are going to be people, office managers for corporate things. That's not really their first job. Their job is to manage the office, not to plan an event or come up with different catering options and everything. Or, we have a lot of doctors and lawyers they work 50 hours a week sometimes, but on the weekends they really want to do something fun. So they come up with grander plans for things and execute it for them, so they don't have to worry about it. They just have to get dressed and show up.
Wow. So you guys kind of follow a stringent process of how you go through onboarding a client, seeing if they're a good fit for you, and then playing it out. So Deanna, can you kind of walk us through what the first portion of that looks like, whether it's a corporate event or like a wedding? You all do weddings as well.
Yeah, we do weddings. We do a private event. Normally what it is, I do more of, I have a more background in sales.
Okay.
So normally I do the first meeting with our clients just to kind of get a feel of what they're wanting, what vibe they're wanting, what they're needing from us, how we can help them. And I take all that information and then we discuss it together, and then we'll send them a price quote.
Okay. Okay, great. And then kind of back to my question earlier, what's to separate you all once you get your client kind of onboarded and you discuss it? What separates you guys from me hiring my sister-in-law to plan the event and you guys planning my event? I know with your background in food and the restaurant industry, your presentation is a key point for you guys?
Yes. So definitely what reels people in with our business is usually our presentation. It's a very visual business. Whenever somebody walks into an event, they really want that wow factor to it. And that goes back to, the guest experience of everything. Mm-hmm. But what a lot of people don't understand with hiring somebody that's professional versus hiring, you're not even hiring, just getting your aunt to do it, mm-hmm. is it's the same thing as like a mechanic. Like, are you going to if you drive a BMW, are you going to take your BMW to some shop that you don't know that's going to, work on it? Or are you going to take it back to the dealership that you got it from, who has expertise and who knows what they're doing? I know lots of people have started crafts before where they're like, I can do that myself. Mm-hmm. And they end up spending thousands of dollars on all of these gadgets and little things, and then they either get tired of it or they decide that it's not for them. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same thing with an event. If you're not hiring the right vendors and you're not getting the right people in place, there's no way to stay on budget. There's no way to have an idea of what you're doing and have a full cohesion of everything that's going on throughout the event and someone to manage it.
That's a great point. So when I think, okay, I'm going to hire somebody to plan this event, I think, okay, they're going to set everything up. It's going to look beautiful and we're going to know where to be. But it really is, you guys communicate with the vendors. You find the correct people to either bring a food truck or to serve the alcohol. You really put a finite research into those different things based on your experiences or referrals. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a lot of it is based on experience and just going to and planning and being a part of so many different events and understanding how those puzzle pieces work and how important they truly are.
Right.
And sometimes clients don't fully realize the investment was worth it until the day of their event.
Right. I can see that for weddings. Like, okay, we're planning a wedding. We know we're going to have to spend a pretty penny, but you're saying after the wedding event instead of being let down, because I know a few weddings I've been to, the brides were not happy afterwards. Yep. Instead of being let down, you have more of an experience of them referring you and really boosting you up.
Yeah, the planning process of, the communications, the emailing, the phone calls, and everything like that, most people kind of have an idea what to expect, but what they don't expect is when we're there at the event and everything is running smoothly and they are enjoying themselves and not worried about everything that's happening is when we get our greatest feedback.
That's awesome. So do you guys stay all the way through the event, or do you just kind of plan everything, coordinate everything, and then stay for the beginning, or do you completely help break down and all of those things?
It really depends on the package that people choose.
Okay.
So depending on what their budget is for the event, if they really only have the budget for us to come in and plan the event and get everything really started for them, a lot of that is more corporate stuff because generally wherever we're hosting the corporate things at, there's already a plan implemented for cleanup or whatever else that they need.
Okay.
Or even like little intimate gatherings and stuff. Usually they'll clean up things on their own or kind of take care of that. But our job is to make sure that all their vendors are there for the correct amount of times and that they have people to break down and do other things.
Gotcha.
If they hire staffing services through us, then our staff will stay. If not, then we just make sure everything is lined out so that they can take care of it themselves and we don't have to be there through the entirety of the event.
You don't have to worry about if it's going to run flawlessly or not. You guys just make sure that happens. So Deanna, you mentioned you're in sales before. So do you handle a lot of the marketing portion of the business? And what would you say is probably your best referral source or your best outreach? Do you network? Do you use social media?
Yes, I mean, I've done a lot of networking. The networking has helped. But like she was saying, it's a very visual thing. So like Instagram, for example, has been a very good way for us to get leads because you can visually see what we put together and how it looks and envisions. So that's something that's been very helpful.
Wow. And you all cater to all of DFW, right? It's not just one specific area of Dallas-Fort Worth.
We're all over the DFW Metroplex, but we've also done, events down in Houston or San Antonio. I did an event in Colorado not too long ago. So it's kind of just branching out to whoever needs the services and how we can help them out.
That's exciting, though, being
like
able
to
to travel and have fun at these events and then come back home to real life. That would be fun for me. I'm thinking about taking up event coordinating now. So what would you say with all that being said and the traveling and you guys starting out? I think you mentioned you started out during COVID.
Yeah.
How did that affect you, or was it the catalyst?
I don't want to say that it was the catalyst because my dream of branching out on my own started literally right before COVID. Luckily enough, I still had my job beforehand.
In corporate America?
Okay, and doing that. And so, I had a lot of time on my hands. Actually, both of us just had a lot of time on our hands at that point. So we went from, doing a lot of things and having quite a few contracts early on with different caterings and plannings to kind of having to draw back everything because pretty much everybody canceled on most of the events that we had that were coming up. But it also gave us the time to really think about what we wanted out of things and taking the time to take it one step at a time and do what we needed to do in order to start our business. Yeah.
Would you say that attributed to y'all's success of having that real firm game plan laid out so it almost worked cohesively and right in line with your plan?
We were able to slowly get started and not rush.
That's nice, especially because when I think event planner, I'm like, oh my God, I got to get all this stuff together for them. But I think I had in my past company, I had a meeting with both of you about trying to plan an event with them. And it was like I felt relieved after I got off the call. So you guys really gather the information is the most important, not all of these other details. You're like, okay, I need the structure, and then we go from there. Is that right?
I feel like this is like a quintessential crazy, but nobody wants to know how the sausage is made. You know what I mean?
Kidding.
And so a lot of our questions are geared towards the things that they do want to know. You know, like what is most important to you? What is your vision for it? What are you wanting at the end of the night? Are you wanting to just show up and be dressed and everything be done? Are you wanting to, have multiple meetings so that you know exactly what kind of personality do you have? And it's learning whether that personality is also going to work with us or not, which I think is an important part of the business.
So have you run into that situation where you had to turn away a client because the personalities just weren't meshing? Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, it falls into the aspect is we're planning the event. You're hiring us to plan the event.
Right.
It depends how involved they want to be. If they do want to be involved somewhat and we have the meetings and we go over things, that's completely fine. But every now and then we run into a client who kind of almost seems they want to take over the planning of the event while they've paid us to do so.
Right, which kind of clashes, I would assume, because the plan and the execution don't happen.
Well, and it's like putting your name on something because that's what we're doing. We are planning the event. We are coming up with the vision and the design for it and figuring out how it should look and flow. And we have some clients, or we've had some clients before that are like, yeah, I totally get that. But also we're not going to do any of that. We're going to change everything. And the last day we're going to bring in a bunch of things that we are not going to tell you about because we're having other meetings. And those just aren't the clients for us.
See, I never thought about that side of the brand awareness. They would be altering your brand. And so that that's not a partnership. And I feel like your business, you almost have to be a partnership in this. Wow. So can you tell me one of the biggest successes you think you guys have had? What event where that you thought just went off without a hitch?
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve was really good. That's the
Ideal.
I guess the closest that we love doing intimate parties. We love doing like smaller than 50. You really get to play around with what they want out of their guest experience too. And this particular New Year's Eve party just went over so well. The aesthetics of everything, the fact that the client, again, was a doctor and she was just like, I just want to show up and do this. And I'm thinking black and gold and maybe a photo booth. And we definitely need a bar. And we're like, okay. But it was one of those things where it's like, okay, well, these are the different things that we've found. Here are our ideas for that. Usually we give, depending on who and what stage that they're in, say they're doing like a venue, then we'll give them 3 different venue options that fit in their parameters, and they can kind of narrow it down from there on what's going to work. And we'll give them, what our opinion on them is, and that's us doing the back work on the back side. And it was just great because the client completely trusted in us, and we knew her aesthetic and what she was going for, and we were able to go in, set up it was at her house. So good. It was at her house.
Oh, wow.
So we transformed her house into a very elegant New Year's Eve party.
That's wonderful. Is that on your Instagram as well? Can we go look at that afterwards? Yes. Wonderful. So what would you both say is one thing you wish you had known prior to starting this business that you would tell your past selves or anyone wanting to get into this industry or start out, to give them a little bit of that insight you didn't get to see?
I mean, just knowing when to say no, or we're knowing when a client is not the client for you, because then you find yourself in the situation where you're really trying to appease their needs and they are making it as hard as possible for you. And then you just feel, you just feel like you're not doing your job right. And it's really not your fault. It's not the right client for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely learning who your client basis is and learning when to say no. because in the end, like, neither one of you, there's just some times where people clash, and not even maybe clash, but they just have a different idea of how things should go. And I guess that goes back to, sticking to your brand and knowing who your client is.
And who you are, right? Yeah. What you want to display, that kind of on path.
Yeah, because we're doing this business obviously as a career, but we're doing it because we enjoy it. And if we have a client that is turning something we enjoy into something that is overly stressful and overwhelming, then they're not the client for us.
That's a good point to remember. Yeah. Love what you do. If you don't love what you do, you can't be successful, right? So would you two say that you're mentors to each other, or would you suggest having a mentor even in this industry? I mean, I can plan my kid's birthday party, but Lord knows I can't do the trays and the presentation that you guys are able to do. So did you guys have any help in starting this business, or someone that you kind of go to?
I feel like, especially even with networking and meeting a bunch of different people and being in different industries too, because Deanna was in sales, she did wedding dresses and all kinds of things before. And so that was, her expertise in that, and being able to meet people in that industry, and kind of mine with like service industry and different restaurants and venues. You meet so many different people that you learn things from, and it's important to have that community of people that you can rely on and talk to in order to figure out what you really want to do. Because one of the companies that, I still go in and work different things for them sometimes, and they're a married couple, and they are very into their business. Their business is very successful, but at the same time, they've learned how to find the right management team so that they're not right there on top of they don't have to micromanage everything. And I think that's one of those things that learning from them how to put on things and be successful and put your presentation out there and be, your brand and be authentically you, just learning from those people is so important. It's very, very important to have a community and a mentor that you can rely on them to be honest with you.
Right. So would you say that you went through a little bit of trial and error in developing that community that you guys use today? Because I know you have some preferences on who you like to use, because you can trust them. They'll show up, they'll be there. And the worst thing about an event, like if they hire a DJ, is them not showing up.
Yes.
So you guys kind of ensure that. Did you ever have that experience maybe?
Yeah, I think, starting out, even trying to find your community sometimes can be difficult, but, and people grow in different directions. So sometimes, you may have people that are in your circle for a little while and then they go in a different direction, or things change. But especially in our industry, it's really important to have vendors that you can trust to show up, because showing up is 99% of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's what keeps us stable, is being able to know the right people to go to in order to get the job done. And we know that they're going to share the same values as us as well.
It's such a large industry, and there's so many vendors. So just knowing which ones are the ones that you prefer and will do the job is very important.
That is. And it's great that I would also say that you guys are co-owners, because it almost gives you the flexibility of being able to pick up if the other isn't there. But that's hard to find, a cohesive partnership that doesn't fade. So having that good balance, would you say, is really important in y'all's business?
It's super, super important. This past year had been pretty difficult for me. In January of last year, I lost my ex-husband, who is the father of my two oldest children, and our company would not still be going if it wasn't for Deanna. And she had to pick up a lot of the slack for me that I just couldn't handle at the time.
Rightfully so, yeah.
And if we didn't have that partnership and that openness and have the ability to, have empathy for each other and pick up pieces whenever the other one can't, then we wouldn't be able to do what we do.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I met you about a year ago. It was probably a little less than a year ago, and you could never tell. Yeah. You guys are so put together, and presentations are beautiful. You've done some presentations here at Nuva Desk, which everyone can go see, I'm sure, either on your Instagram or or ours at NuvoDesk. But what, say someone is wanting to get into the industry and wants to ask you some questions, or even somebody needs an event coordinator and they're like, you know what, that sounds so stress-free. How can they reach you guys? Where can they find you?
So they can always reach us on our website, which is socialbdfw.com. And to make it super simple, all of our socials are also socialbdfw. So you can find us at the same thing, whether it's any of the different socials that you're looking on or going to our website to fill out an inquiry.
Man, that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on the show, and hopefully we see you back here maybe in 6 months to tell some more success stories.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And to all of our listeners out there, we'll see you next time on Market It with Atma.